I'd like to call to order the June 13th, 2017 session of the Hazel Park City Council. Roll call. Present.
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
We will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. As the season changes, Father, we thank you for leading us through the winter and on into the summer. Thank you for keeping our city safe. We are grateful for our outstanding fire and police departments and their respective chiefs. Keep them as the apple of the eye. Hide them neath the shadow of your wings. Thank you for our city administrators who work diligently beyond their call of duty to keep this city moving forward. And we're grateful and thankful for our city manager and the elected officials and for their dedication to the city of Hazel Park. Tonight, we ask for your wisdom in all discussions and in all decisions. May you bless these proceedings. We ask in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to the approval of the agenda. Council, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I would like to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
Motion has been made to approve the agenda as presented and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? Any additions, deletions? Being none, dissensions to the motion? Being none, the motion carries. We have an agenda. Civic announcements. We have our County Commissioner, Elaine Zach.
Good evening, everybody. Wanted to tell you that we finally went through the county process to offer Hazel Park the new electronic security equipment, the magnetometers. Judge Geddard had asked, or actually it was the security guards that were working here that said that there was equipment that could be available that was improved over what was here already. But it had to go through the county commission approval process, and it took longer than I anticipated, but we did successfully vote on it. So I don't know if it's been installed or it's coming soon. So that's a good thing. On August 9th, and I will bring more information and forward it, the county commission, along with the county, are going to offer a training on how to do business with the county for small employers, small vendors. And so I really would love to see my communities come forward, start bidding on things, and learn how to do that. I serve on the Citizens Advisory Council for the Regional Transit Authority. And there was a big, strategic plan meeting of the RTA in May, and they're studying whether, what's next, creating new vision. Should they go for a millage in 2018, or should they go for some other source? Should they do something in 2020 to be continued? One of the things that the RTA did decide to do, there's this wonderful program called My Ride 2, which is offered through the Area Agency on Aging 1B board. And what you can do is you can call up the call My Ride 2, and it's a one call or one email to request door-to-door transportation. It's not free, but it is lower cost than other providers, and it gives a standardized network. So what's going to happen is the program's been very successful. The RTA is going to invest another $150,000 into this program, so there will be county-wide or multiple counties, regional transportation, spread it into Wayne County, which is not part of it, which I'm very excited about that. We had Youth and Government Day about a month ago, and I do hope that we will get Hazel Park schools to come in the future. One of the issues that we talked about is to look for funding at the county for transportation, because I know that bus transportation for many schools is always a challenge. This year, it was better than ever. The students had the opportunity to sit in committees and address 3 different issues and resolutions, pros and cons. For example, should we tax soda pop because it's not good for you, and use that tax to improve other health programs? And so I got to listen to students debate about whether we should do that or not, or should police wear body cameras? And that was another topic. So the students really seem to enjoy that, and I will follow up and hope that we will have Hazel Park participation next year. Finally, again, I want to just keep reminding people that there is an apprentice guide through the county. Best way to find it is www.advantageoakland.com, and this is a wonderful, comprehensive booklet of lots of job training opportunities, who to contact, how to get that. It talks about range of salaries, the need. There's clearly Oakland County jobs. Our city manager was at the economic luncheon. There are jobs that are going unfilled because people don't have the right skills. So our goal is to get people trained so that we can, employers need jobs, and there's a lot of skilled trades and issues that people aren't doing because they don't know how to enter them. And this is a guide to that. Any questions? They told me in June, so I haven't. Oh, good. Have you seen the results already?
I have.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
so glad
So
to-
pleasantly surprised.
They told us in June, but that's great. I'm so glad. That's our county tax dollars at work, speeding up things. So
This is something that will really benefit the residents of Hazel Park and our police department. So I'm very pleased that you were able, I want to echo what Jan Drum, who is our local prosecuting attorney here for ordinance violations, her sentiments on that, because that crime lab is very important. What a good thing the county has done.
well, thank you. I will definitely convey that. And again, half of what the county spends money on is justice administration. So I'm glad that we're leading on that and really taking care of our locals. So
What a critical need. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, oftentimes Oakland County does things better than the state of Michigan. I mean, frequently they do. I know the state is the highest level of government, obviously, but the county just really has the resources to do things, and this is something that's very beneficial. So, very grateful.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
that's kind of a left-handed compliment, really.
Well, no, I meant it in all sincerity.
I know, but
Even though comparing the county to the state is a very low bar.
that's what I'm saying.
All right, and any other civic announcements? Any other civic announcements? Yes.
The Hazel Park Historical Museum will be open Thursday, the 15th, from 6 o'clock to 8 p.m., 45 East Pearl. Hope to see some folks there.
Thank you. Civic announcements. Being no further civic announcements, we will move to public discussion. Is there any public discussion to come before? Just step right up to the microphone and state your name and address.
My name's Chris Van Ash, 125 West Hayes.
Okay.
Go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay. So I have some concerns regarding some of the properties on my street and code enforcement. First one being the one next door to me, 137. House has been in shambles for years, and garage now is starting to fall in my backyard. Garage is widely open. There's raccoons, possums, rats, stray cats living in there. They're urinating and dropping feces on the side of my house. I don't know what else to do. They got a tree in the backyard that's going to take down a power line. DT refuses to take down the tree because they can't get in touch with the property owner.
What was the address of the house?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The address of that
Oh,
house.
137 West Hayes.
Have the code officer and
Well, someone was recently there and tagged the cars. They're still sitting in the driveway. There's been 2 abandoned cars there sitting over a year.
They've been tagged for that long?
No, they're just recently tagged. So,
we have to follow a legal process as a city.
Right.
And everybody can be scofflaws and
well, the house that I don't know the address, but the house that got tore down around the block from us, the one with all the cats, they went from there and moved to the garage now next door to me. I mean, I can't have my daughter playing in the backyard.
Mr. Mayor, I have spoken with Chris in the past. Both of these houses are owned by the same individual or that individual's family. What we're going to do is place these houses on the hearing list for demolition. These houses have been substantially derelict for some time. You are all familiar with the owner of these properties, and we are attempting to find him, to locate him for service at this time. If we cannot do that, we will go through alternative service, and we will take the appropriate action. But I think the administration, at this point, our intention is to take both these houses down.
Your Honor, I would like to add that Assistant City Manager Jeffrey Campbell came out yesterday and personally viewed the properties, and I don't think that Jeff has talked to you yet, Chris. One of the homes that Chris is talking about has been vacant for over a decade, and the property owner is well-known to everyone up here, and hopefully, I'm optimistic that the legal process can get going and fast-track this, because the one that is directly next door to him is infecting them. They 2 young children.
No doubt about it. It needs to come home. I mean, it needs to come down. This home is unfit for human occupancy. It's a hole, and it needs to come down. And we also need to address the yard issues there as well. We can do that. I can get the yard issues addressed within the week.
What about
But the home will be.
There's
about
nothing
the animal issue?
there's nothing that can be done about the cats. You can't even get to the garage right now.
I mean,
it's
the
bad.
whole side, you can come to the side of my house, the whole side of my house smells like urine.
Okay.
wouldn't we be able to trap them?
We,
Can't get to them.
Well, they don't all, cats wander all over.
we're going to have to tow some things out. We'll tow those cars out of there, and then we'll begin the process of making our way to the garage.
And then this went into the other property, which you were talking about, which was 160 West Hayes. And it's same condition. I mean, there are kids, they're getting into that yard now. I don't know if they're getting into the house, so. And
Yeah, we'll make sure that it stays secure, but like I said, Chris, it's time to knock those houses down.
right,
This will be addition by subtraction.
right. And then the other property is the rental property on my street, which I talked briefly to you about, which was 104. Like, I understand there's legal processes.
That is in process. There's
I mean-
nothing more we can do about that one.
All right. And then code enforcement, I talked to you about that also. I don't understand how they can let properties slide like the ones next door to me, 160, the stuff that goes on with 104, but they turn their nose to those things, but they want to go right away, just like I got a notice for having my trash cans properly set at a curb. The day of, it wasn't out the night before, I get a nasty notice left on my door.
What kind of notice?
Notice that my trash cans were at the curb. Yeah, in the street. In cans. Not, the bags weren't laying there, nothing blowing around.
That would probably be because they're not supposed to be in the street.
The city's neglected the stump. I gotta,
I'm just,
I understand. But I have a huge stump, normally where I put my trash, where you guys took a tree down. It was a year and a half. Stump is still there.
It was on
It's a tripping hazard.
you got the ticket on garbage day itself.
No, there was no ticket issued.
It was a
Notification.
notification.
warning.
Not only, there were 6 people that got the same notification. Well, there's other issues on the street where no violations or no issues were written.
Mr. Mayor? Yes. Do we know who removed the trees?
I have,
City.
the city did.
It was a widowmaker. It was a pretty deceased tree.
Administration check into perhaps getting the city's stump grinder over there?
That is not something that will happen quickly. I will just be very blunt and honest with you. So we have several stumps to grind. Again, we hope to get it this year, but I cannot give you a definitive time frame on that. We have over 300 trees that need to come down.
How much, I mean, it's already down. How much longer is it going to take? It's been almost 2 years.
Again, like I said, there's a priority for these things, and we will try to get it for you as soon as we can. But I don't want to, what I'm not going to do is give you any unrealistic hope that I'm going to have that down for you next week.
All right.
Chris, I think you've had a good conversation with the
Right.
city manager, and you're my neighbor.
Yeah.
And this bothers me too, that it's affecting your family.
Right.
And we have been arguing about this for over a decade.
Right.
So I think there's going to be some progress on this, especially now with the occupant out of the one that's next to you.
Right. So,
And again, Chris, I do know that you work hard to keep your house up and that you work hard to keep that whole neighborhood up. I think you try to be an anchor there. And when somebody who does things right gets a notice that they don't feel is justified, I understand why you're upset. Now, she's technically correct.
it's not that it's the notice. It's, there's a house where bushes are overgrown halfway into the property, and she's leaving a notice on my door and not that door. That doesn't make sense to me.
But there may also have been other notices that have been left there too. Now,
There's
everyone
never
thinks-
been a notice left on that
Well,
window, on
again-
the mailbox, on that door.
For which house?
137.
But that house is already.
There's visible
There
holes
have
in the
been
roof.
tickets already issued to Charlie at Baltimore. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's got the information. I'll let her come up and
That's
tell you
fine.
what we're doing. But we're definitely in process on that. You're going to need the microphone. Are you all set, Chris?
Thank you, Chris.
So I have
Thank you, Chris.
definitely visited these properties, and I do sympathize with you. These properties are vacant, so therefore, there wouldn't be a notice posted on that. I actually mail them directly to the homeowner who is not there. I have issued tickets to those. The reason that I put notices on all the doors on your street was because the majority of your neighbors putting garbage in the street, and I actually hit a garbage bag that day. Well, that's when I was pulling over. Well, I was trying to park, and there's not enough room for garbage on both sides of the street and cars to pass.
Yeah, we can't go back and
Okay,
forth.
so anyway, it's a
unfortunately a
simple
violation.
notice that garbage is not to be stored in the street because it does impair traffic. And it is part of the code that it shouldn't be put in this.
Ms. Patterson, is there a time frame on when those cars are going to be towed? Because it has been 48 hours.
Yes, it has. I was off for several days, so today was my first day back.
Welcome back.
So, thank you. So tomorrow morning.
That would help. So just seeing the cars gone, that's some progress I think everybody can hold on
And there
to.
have been work orders issued, so I will check with DPW in the morning and find out where we are on those. So we'll get them. I do want to get that property clean.
Thank you, Pam.
I have one more question about the trash cans. So this trash day, I put them in my driveway apron. So trash guys, if we're not allowed to put them in the street, why are the trash guys allowed to throw them in the middle of the street?
They shouldn't be throwing them in the middle of the
Every time, my trash cans are in the middle of the street.
That could be one of the reasons why I'm switching trash collectors 1st of July.
So
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, is there any other public discussion? Any other public discussion? Being none, we will close public discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say, Chris is a good guy. He is a good neighbor down there. He's like an anchor in that community, in that neighborhood. And, but everybody needs to understand, just because you don't see something doesn't mean we're not doing something about it. We've got so many legal processes that we have to follow and hoops that we have to jump through before we can get to the end of the process, which means we go and we tear it down. And in this case, I think this guy's got assets. I don't want to see the city of Hazel Park have to pay for that. He should have to pay for the demolition of both of these houses. So Jan Drum, to that point, has undertaken a new program where we are actually now going back, and we are going back 2 years, and we're going to sue everybody that owned property that we had to demo for the cost of those demolitions. So if we can find assets and we believe they're collectible, we're to go after them. And I believe this individual does have assets and he is collectible. So I'm sorry you had to look at that, but the light at the end of the tunnel is coming. We're going to get rid of that guy's houses, and hopefully the last we see of him in this city.
Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval of items 1 through 11 as presented.
Support.
Motion has been made to approve the consent agenda 1 through 11 and supported. Discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if there are any folks representing items 4, 5, 6, or 7, business license approvals, that would be Baseline Coffee, Dairy Park, Bridgewater Interiors, or Motor City Fasteners, we'd be happy to hear from you. And apparently there aren't, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I would like to say one thing. Item 5, 21839 John R. Dairy Park. It's nice to see a nice family come in and reopen that establishment. The other day, yesterday, it was very hot, and the whole curb was full of people. I haven't seen that in years with that establishment. It's very nice to see that come back as strong as it ever was. Hopefully they can hang on to it and keep it going as well as Margaret and her husband did. Thank you.
Okay, the motion was made and seconded. Discussion was held. Is there any further discussion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion carries. That brings us to administrative reports. Mr. Klobuchar?
Yes, sir. Award bid for the West George repaving to Pavex Corporation.
West George and Woodward Heights.
West George and Woodward Heights,
Forward.
pardon me.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we concur with the recommendation of the administration and award bid number, whatever it is. Oh, there it is, 2014, to Pavex Corporation for the resurfacing of West George and Woodward Heights.
Motion is made and supported. Discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. A question, and that is, what portion of Woodward Heights would this cover?
I can answer this, but if Chris Duberg is here, come on, you showed up, you can come up and answer it. Might as well get some FaceTime.
Northbound Chrysler to John R. will be the first section that we're doing.
It is, repeat that again.
Northbound Chrysler Drive to John R.
Thank you.
And then, of course, West George runs from Ford to West End, which is a very substandard road, kind of a third world road. Kind of the worst road we've ever had since we've paved roads in Hazel Park. You happy to see this, Chuck? This one's for you, Chuck, and for all the other residents out there.
Okay, we have a motion that was made, seconded. Discussion has been held. Is there any further discussion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and I'm sure the long-suffering residents of West George are very happy with this action. And again, for the record, with respect to Woodward Heights, we're using some of the money from that county program where they've given us a matching grant. Our plan is to use those grants in successive years to go all the way down from North Chrysler to DeQuinder. That is our plan, budget holding, that by the end of those grants in, when's the last year for it? 22, we will have the whole of Woodward Heights redone.
With bike lanes?
If that is your pleasure, that's what we're doing with this first section of it. There will be bike lanes there.
I believe that was part of the
Thank you.
discussion we had
Yep.
before on Woodward
So we
Heights.
plan to take bike lanes all the way down, and it should be a very nice road.
Because that's the continuation leg from Ferndale over to the Quinder where they have the other lanes. I don't think any other road we have would be feasible to do that on.
I don't think so either, but I think that we plan to progress in an orderly fashion all the way eastward. But again, if some section becomes really bad, we may have to switch them out, so.
Item 2.
Award the bid for the demolition of 110 West George. Mr. Mayor, the administration respectfully requests that council approve the bid for the demolition of 110 West George to R.J. Hoffman in the amount of $5,770.
So moved.
For the record, I'm only asking for approval for the administration to award this bid because we are going to try again to get instead of having the city pay for this and the taxpayers having to eat these costs, we're going to sue the homeowner and see if we can have our judicial system order them to take this down.
Beautiful.
All right, the motion was made
Support.
and supported. Discussion on the motion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion carries. Item 3, award bid 2016, demolition of 326 West Harry.
Again, the same thing, administration respectfully requests approval, and we will attempt the same process with this home as well.
So move.
Motion is made
Support.
and supported. Discussion on the motion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion carries. That brings us to approval of ordinance, amend Title VI, Animals, Chapter 6.04, Dogs, Cats, and Animals, Section 6.04.010 to 6.04.210. First reading.
Mr. Mayor, this particular piece of legislation amends the ordinance for the regulations, licensing requirements, prohibitions, procedures for dangerous animals, and penalties for violations.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Support.
Motion is made to approve and supported. Discussion on the motion? Being none,
I'd like to say one thing. I'd like to say thank you to my colleagues and our administration for all the hard work we put into this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you for all of your research that you've done, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Keaton, I'd like to add also, thank you to Jan Drum and her staff. I guess it's been 1988 since a lot of these were revisited, and a lot of work went into it. Mayor Pro Tem did a lot of the work, and I'm appreciative that some of these are being updated.
all right, the motion was made and supported. Discussion has been held. Is there any further discussion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion carries. Brings us to item 5. Approve ordinance to amend Title VI, Animals, Chapter 6.08, Rabbits and Poultry, Section 6.08.040, and Section 6.08.070, first reading.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Support.
Motion to approve has been made and supported. Discussion on the motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to this doesn't really, if somebody's keeping a bunny or two in their home.
No, we've had no problems with rabbits.
They don't need a permit.
We have not required a permit in the past. I have had, in 15 years, I've had 0 problems with rabbits. This is more designed to deal with the chicken issue, and you have some draft rules that my office plans to publish that I'd like to get your feedback on in the next week or so with respect to poultry.
All Okay, the motion has been made and seconded, and discussion has been held. Is there any further discussion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion carries. Boards and commissions, nothing on the agenda. Administration, do we have anything?
No, sir.
Tabled items, nothing on the agenda. Do we have anything? Show cause hearing. Show cause hearing, item 1, 1205 East Granite. I would open the public hearing on 1205 East Granite.
Good evening. My name is Harry Stephen Ellman. I'm an attorney. I'm representing the homeowner of this property, recent homeowner.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry?
could we have your business and address?
Absolutely. Law offices of Harry Stephen Ellman, Farmington Hills, Michigan, 28470 West 13 Mile Road, Suite 325.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and I'd like my client Sharita Shaika to speak when I'm through, if that's okay with you, to tell you in her own words her journey here tonight. So, Sharita is originally was born and raised in Michigan, family of one of 12, 4 of which unfortunately perished in a fire as minor children. And she was living in Florida and had an opportunity, wanted to move here to adopt, I believe, the 8-year-old son, TJ. So she had to move from Florida in order to complete the adoption process and live in Michigan. So she heard about the auction of land where bargains could be had at the Oakland County in the summer of 2016. And she looked at the list of the properties and noticed that some of the properties were scheduled for demolition. And of course, she ignored those properties. So she focused on the property in question, used her hard-earned lifetime savings of $11,000, purchased the property, obtained a deed, a property transfer affidavit, came over to the city, paid up the taxes in order to effectuate receiving the deed. So in addition to paying $11,000, she paid $1,400 in taxes. And then she approached the city to have an inspection so that she could determine what would be necessary to repair and fix. And so she paid $600 for the inspection. She'll correct me if I'm missing some of my timelines here. She paid $600 for the inspection, and lo and behold, found out that the property had been tagged for demolition, and there was, oh, sorry.
$600 was the hearing fee, which included inspection of the building and all of the cost of the hearing fee, because it had been tagged.
Right.
It wasn't just an inspection fee. That'd be an awful high inspection fee.
Right. Okay, well, I don't know what some communities, they are that high. So the prior property owner was I don't know the word to use, but, you know, obviously he abandoned the property, didn't pay his taxes, the roof had caved in. I went to the house tonight before I came here. There's no question the house is a mess, and if we didn't have a nice, innocent person who's willing to spend $45,000 and has entered into a contract with a reliable builder by the name of Galaxy Construction Group on Santa Barbara and Detroit, I'd be 100% for having this property torn down. But she has plans to put an addition on the back with a sunroom. She's got 2 bedrooms for her minor children. I, as an attorney, would handle the process. I'm also a licensed title agent since 1987, well familiar with construction, sworn statements, waivers of lien. I am going to shepherd her through the process, make sure the contractors never ahead of, you know, the work in place and the money to complete are not out of sync. So I can assure you that that will occur, and this home will be a nice improvement, wonderful improvement to the neighborhood and a home for her minor children. I don't think she should be punished for the horrible neglect of the prior owner. the notice that she received was actually addressed to this Eric Hill, whoever he may be. He was the prior property owner, no question about that, but he obviously let this property go into disrepair. And she has a strong will to, and she's a strong-willed woman, as you'll see, because she's going to let her talk after me. She has wonderful plans, and I have them here if anyone wants to see all the line items of what's going to be done that coincide with the line items that your inspector said had to be repaired. So they're all going to be taken care of to your satisfaction. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to entertain them, but for myself, but I would like to turn it over to Sharita to tell her from her personal viewpoint of what transpired.
Before you turn it over to council administration, do you have any questions?
I have no questions yet. I may have questions in the future.
One of the questions I have is I thought I understood you said he has a budget of $45,000?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Do you have some documentation of that amount?
Yes, I have it right here. I'm happy to pass it around.
And is that, do you have the bid from Galaxy that indicates to you that they can make all the repairs necessary for that amount of money?
Well, I haven't spoken to them personally. I'll let Sharita answer that. But I do have a formal bid proposal of Galaxy. Sure.
What I was getting at, Mr. Mayor, is do you have something that would indicate assets that would show us
I
that?
have a business in Detroit, and I'm bringing more jobs here. I'm also have been invited to join the expat for people that were born here, and like they help you branch your business here. I have assets, and I just want the opportunity. Obviously, Eric Hill dropped his opportunity. I purchased this. My family lives on Hazelwood. My mother has been here since our fire in 2000. She loves it here, and I personally would never have left Florida if it wasn't for a beautiful little boy. I want to be here. I want to live close to my mother. That's the only reason I would have, like, if I would have known, because when I asked about the property last year, they said that they weren't able to get an inspection because of the previous owner. So nobody knew, like, the inside condition. And when you're looking at these houses for the Oakland County auction, you can just go and look curbside. Nobody's going to let you in. So it was actually one of the nicer houses. I felt like I could probably get things done. So I spent $11,000 of my money. She informed me at my last meeting in the room downstairs, when I was asking her, so what's next, she informed me to get an attorney, so that's what I did. And I have everything in me, just as like, I want to be here, and I don't want somebody to tell me how to spend the money that I've worked for my entire life. I want the opportunity to show you that I want to be here. I wouldn't have purchased it if I didn't want to be here. I wouldn't have left my life in Florida if I didn't want to be here.
I can't speak for the council. I understand that. But you say you looked at this house before you purchased it?
I walked up to the curb, and it just seems like it just needed a bunch of stuff on the outside. It's not, to me, ugly. It doesn't seem like it's not fixable, when I just didn't see it like that. It was a quiet little area, a nice little neighborhood, and that's where I wanted to be.
Actually, I passed your attorney on this afternoon when he went to look at the house. You're the gray car, right? White? Yeah, okay.
It's a really quiet, nice little area. My mom lives 3 blocks over.
It is a nice street. It's a very nice street.
And it's quiet, and, right now I'm living in Warren, 3 blocks from 8 Mile. I'd rather just build my house the way I want it and be done.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the city attorney. You have the bid in front of you. Are they indicating they can bring this house up to code for $45,000 from Galaxy Construction?
The bid does say 45,000. I don't know if it covers everything. I'd have to have Roger look at it. It should have been provided before tonight's hearing, so he would have had that opportunity. But be that as it may, if he's willing to take a couple minutes to look at it and see if he can even guess whether or not it covers everything.
I mean,
I did bring it when we had our hearing down there, and you guys were also adamant about just telling me that you weren't going to give me the opportunity to fix it. I had it sitting there, and I told you that I had it, but nobody looked at it. So it was there for it to be provided to you, but nobody gave me a chance.
Ma'am, this house, and again, I was not at the hearing, but this house is substantially derelict, okay? And again, I understand that you've spent some money, and we don't want to see you throwing good money after bad. You may have already done that. The biggest thing that everybody needs to understand about the county auction is caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, okay? And we warn people here in Hazel Park all the time about the dangers of purchasing property at that auction. Now, I don't think anybody up here wants to see you hurt, inconvenienced. I think everybody wants to give you a chance, but you have to understand one thing as well, too, okay? Jan Drum has done this for 15 years. This city council has sat impaneled some of them for over 15 years. So this is one of the worst houses that I've seen. I'm just skeptical that $45,000 is going to do that. And also, what I don't want to have happen is you get in this project in over your head and then you leave this thing half completed. So my recommendation to council is going to be, again, if they do not decide to tear it down, and again, this house at this point is screaming to be torn down. If they give you that chance, I think that there needs to be a amount posted to cover demolition just in case the repairs are not made.
I have no problem doing that. But I don't want you guys to have another person on your list to sue. You know what I mean? I don't. You know, I have demo quotes just in case because Ms. Drum told me to. You know what I'm saying? But I would prefer not to. You know? And that's just the honest to God's truth. I'm not going to be on that list. I'm either going to complete it or take it down, one or the other. I'm not going to leave it sitting like that. I own it. And I just want the opportunity to decide how I'm going to spend my money.
Look, you know, don't get the idea that we're being adversarial here. We love homeowners to come into Hazel Park. We really love homeowners to come into Hazel Park that want to be in Hazel Park, that aren't coming here out of desperation. They have family here. You have ties here.
That's what we want to see.
Exactly what we want to see. The problem is, and we've seen it so many times. It sounds condescending to say we want to save you from yourself, but we've seen people, somebody said, oh yeah, we can fix it, $45,000, get halfway through and say, well, we need another $25,000.
That's what I have him for.
Well,
He has assured me he's going to get me through this.
well, that makes all the difference in the world, and
Have you managed a project like this before, Counselor? You indicated you've got, okay.
I've insured over, I owned Fidelity Title Company for 20 years. I insured over $8 billion in money. Much of that was construction. Some of it I'm not so proud about. That's Bloomfield Park.
Well, no one's perfect.
It was done in my shop.
Mayor, I have a question for the applicants. Would you be able to maybe see a way to put up a $10,000 security bond till the project's complete in 180 days? Would you be amenable to something of that nature?
I'm almost positive.
No, we don't want to.
It's cash.
I'd rather have $6,000 in cash, because that's what we can usually get a demo for.
I was just looking at the demo and all the fees that we would incur, which would be close to 8, sir.
You guys are not going to.
8's fine.
Like I said, if I
It's
get
not, it's not
in,
that.
and I feel like it's not going to happen.
It's not you,
I'm
man.
gonna take it down.
It's about the property.
I understand.
It's about the due process in which we've done others and giving you the same process to be able to try to accomplish a goal here. We've had successful cases in the past that did a very nice job. And we've had some that, like the mayor said, did not fulfill the commitment and wound up, we tried to help them save themselves from themselves and they couldn't do it.
Well, that's a great idea, and she said that she'll do it. We'll put it up with your city treasurer in some sort of escrow account. I'm not asking to be an interest bearing.
Well,
the cost to administer is more than the interest.
we were just trying to I would just
Yeah,
throwing
we're not giving you
something
any
out there.
interest.
I was just throwing you something out there because I'm sure the board and us are going to talk about some things here.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
could we hear from the building inspector?
We certainly can. Are there any other questions for the applicants?
We may have after we hear from the building
Okay.
inspector.
Thank you.
When you're done looking at, well, building inspector's
Well, at the hearing process with the hearing officer, what began would be the issue of its nonconformity from setbacks off property line to square footage of the structure. And when it becomes to the state of disrepair, the way the ordinance reads, if the repairs exceed 50% of the SEV of the property, it's required to comply with current square footage, which means 1,200 square feet. The building lacks a full foundation system now, the existing building. It's skirted, built on piers. It would be required to have a full frost footing foundation system installed. Plumbing system, mechanical system, electric systems are all dilapidated and are required to be fully replaced. Estimation of bumping it up another 800 square feet roughly to get into that. You'd also have to go to the ZBA for a variance to add to its nonconformity, or give it a variance so it can basically have the nonconformity added on to.
Excuse me, you run that one by me again? It's non-conforming now because of the side.
So the ZBA would have to give a variance for it to remain in a non-conforming way, or?
Well, they're
Go ahead.
talking about adding 2 bedrooms and a Florida room?
Yeah, what's the square footage?
Ironically.
In other words, 1,200 square feet we're looking for.
Right.
No basement,
There's no basement.
1,300.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they add that, you don't have to go to the ZBA then?
Correct.
Yep, but you're adding to its nonconformity because of setbacks off property lines. That's,
Or it would occupy too much.
It's not just non-conforming because size, it's non-conforming because of its location within the property.
setbacks off property lines. So you're looking at all that. And secondly, again, looking at the age of the property, we never got provided with the information that the sanitary sewer may not need to be replaced. That's going to throw another $3,000 to $4,000 or so. That's being minimal on top of that. So $45,000 is, I guess, when we get to the bottom line of it is, with adding to the other additional 800 square feet, and replacement of roof system, rotten framing, on and on and on, we're talking about at least close to $60,000 here. So now, my question would be, if, and probably this may not be something you want to hear, but I would say, if you were willing to do that, why would you go into that direction of purchasing that instead of purchasing a piece of property that wouldn't have those sort of issues that you'd have to deal with? It just doesn't seem to make too much sense to me, but that's just my opinion. But we're talking about beyond $45,000 here. There's no doubt about it. And any other questions?
I can contest to that because right now I'm in the middle of putting a 16 by 16 addition on my daughter's house. And just putting the foundation in and the wood for the exterior part of it, we're at $10,000. And we're doing the labor ourselves.
Another issue, ZBA's action would require, what's the hardship? Hardship in order to grant a variance. Hardship, that's clear in the ordinance. So that's what I have on it, and I'm taking the stance that the structure, and the hearing officer had the same point of view, that the structure has outlived its time, and it's got too many issues, and it's time to remove. So take it down, build a nice new home in Hazel Park. The lot is 40 foot. It's a conforming lot for construction, and put up a new house.
What's new construction cost these days? $100 a square foot?
Yeah, basically, yeah. You might get a little bit less, you know.
130, you can have a new house.
Yeah.
Every other house that we had before the nuisance hearing officer within the past year has been better than this house and ordered demolished. This is our worst house, just as the city manager has said. The roof's caved in, it's got fungus growing, It is a mess. I don't want it to be another situation where you tell Mr. Smiley he can go ahead and make the repairs, and 2 years later, I'm in circuit court still.
Welcome to City Council.
Any questions for the inspector? Thank you. I have a couple of questions for the attorney.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to ask anything or speak on this?
Thank you. Question? Could I get you to come back?
Counsel, could you come up, please, Counselor?
Have you had a chance to go through the kinds of things he was just talking about?
Yes, I mean, I didn't specifically A match A, B match B. I glanced at it.
Yeah.
And being familiar, put addition on my house, and I've told my client that I can't guarantee that when they start building that this is going to come in at $45,000, because my experience is that, expect to spend 25% more than anyone ever quotes you. There's always, you get involved in all these extras, and he's mentioning some of the structure problems and everything. So I don't know if my client has an appetite for spending $65,000, $75,000 when she's already got 11,000 plus into it.
Yeah.
Please come up to the microphone.
I get it, and I understand what you're saying, and I'm not gonna be one of those people, so, I have a couple orders for demo. Your prices for Mr. R.J. Hoffman sound way better than mine, so, I'm fine with it, as long as I'm not gonna get any problem building, that I don't want to, I was miffed because I gave you $600 only to be told, no, you're not gonna do anything. I don't want to drag this out any further. I mean, I understand what you're doing. I do understand saving myself for myself. I get myself in things often.
A lot of people do. I've known to be there myself.
But I do, and I'm fine as long as I'm not gonna run into barriers when and honestly, when I did purchase the property, sir, I was looking like, oh, this is perfect neighborhood.
Oh, yeah,
You don't
yeah.
Think of that stuff when you're in
Sure.
the middle of buying it.
Yeah.
This is perfect. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, and then.
Could you speak into the microphone, please?
And then I open the door, and it's.
It bends down.
So.
We do have other properties around that area that are up for sale as well, that may need to probably $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 worth of work, but legitimately, with not as much headache.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's vacant on each side. Maybe you could use this, buy this property back from.
You never know.
Your fire department, practice their fire department. Attend one of those. You get an abandoned house and it's vacant on each side. It's perfect for your fire department to practice on.
I know.
They generally don't do that in neighborhoods with
No
houses
free
close
birds.
to each other.
Well, it's vacant on each side.
And still,
So you're saying that
Saying that,
you're thinking of just taking it down?
either way, I was going to either fix it or take it down. I wasn't going to leave anything
Okay.
for anybody to have a headache with 2 years from now. I'm not that type of person. I finish what I start, or I find a new start.
So is there any ramifications to us entering into an agreement with her to just demolish her own, or do you like this price here?
No, she can get the same price that we get. We've done that before for.
Okay,
Yeah, because I'm not getting anything close.
okay.
No, we help them out. I mean, we tell them, maybe we can get a cheaper price than you can. Would you like us to try? And if they say yes, we do.
Okay.
And I say yes. Then I say yes.
And, no, all you have to do is just order demolition within the 30 days, and she can take that and go to the building department and get the bid and go on with it.
Okay.
Okay. Council, you have any other questions?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Pleasure dealing with you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we follow the hearing officer's recommendation to have the house demolished within 30 days and that the demolition bid be awarded to the lowest bidder. And I do that with great reluctance, and I thank the property owner very much for being such a good citizen.
Motion is made
Support.
and supported. Discussion on the motion? Being none, dissension to the motion? Being none, the motion is carried. Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Thank you. Well, that one was very sad.
Yes. New business? Is there any new business to be brought to the floor?
Mr. Mayor, while you're talking about new business, I just want to reiterate the importance of buyer beware when it comes to this county auction. The whole process of property foreclosure goes hand in hand with Michigan's broken system of municipal finance. It is truly, it's a clown show, and it really is unfortunate that some people are taken advantage of by what they think is a viable home. They make an investment, and there's no way. I mean, $45,000 wasn't going to get it with that house. It wasn't close. It was at least 60. And it's a very sad situation. So for the record, please, if you're contemplating buying property at the auction, do your due diligence, investigate it very thoroughly, and what you think is a great bargain usually isn't.
And we do actually try to get demolition orders to the county when they're going up for auction. Problem is, like this house, when a gentleman owned it, and then we're trying to get him served, and he evades service, and then the county, for some reason, takes this one real fast, although other ones take 10, 11 years. Took this one really fast, so we couldn't move on it. And when she came to get a building permit, we said, you can't, this house is falling apart. And we can hurry up with a hearing to see if it's salvageable, and we did do that. That's all we could do at that time. And the first thing I want to say is, buy any one of these other houses, that we have up here that's fixable. Well, we do have a lot of them that are.
I mean, unfortunately, she bought like the worst one, as you can see. This one's just plain terrible.
She paid too much for it.
True. Yeah. It must have been at the first auction.
Mr. Mayor, under
Yes.
new business,
Yes.
we are going to be changing our recycling system to single stream in the next few months. And we will be delivering a new wheeled receptacle to every residential unit in the city. And I would like to see us come up with some sort of a colorful, attractive, instructional card or way of describing how to use this item and what is acceptable and what should be put into this receptacle. I have talked to some neighbors who don't recycle, and they say, well, that's great, and they're going to provide us with a garbage. No, we're not. And I'm afraid that that's going to happen with a certain amount of people unless we maybe attach it to the lid of this receptacle or in some way and make it bright and colorful and attractive. Just something to think about. And Mr. Duberg and his crew.
Tomorrow morning, 9:30, we'll have a SACRA meeting again. There will be a whole educational program rollout starting in July. So there'll be a colorful brochure. There's actually going to be some picture vinyl tags on the card itself or on the lid.
There will be, okay.
There'll be a lot of information given.
All right, good.
Want a big push for the recycling. The money helps reduce the cost of the trash collection. There's a lot of products that actually the recycled products can turn into jobs. And it's the right way to manage a resource, which is a landfill, and keeping stuff out of there, because landfills are not able to be sited very easily. And so they should be managed. Put as little into them as possible.
I think it's a very positive step. Don't misunderstand me.
Yes.
I just want it clarified for so many of our residents who currently don't even recycle.
Currently, Hazel Park is number 11 out of the 12 communities in recycling. And
But we have passed Oak Park.
Yes.
And we are on a bullet, and who's next? Tell Berkeley we're coming for them, or whoever's next.
Huntington Woods is the top recycler.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're the top recycler on the planet, but
Yeah, they're really good.
they're our target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're using putting out less garbage bags. You know, it's pretty simple. The boxes, the cans.
We get money for recycling. Trash costs us money. It's a simple process.
Too.
If you ever want those trash collection fees to go down, Hazel Park residents, you are masters of your own destiny. Simply recycle more.
Okay. Is there any other new business?
Yeah, Mayor, I just had a couple questions for the administration.
Sure.
The addition of the Sellerman's sidewalk brigade up there of chairs, is that going to affect any ADA issues?
That should not.
we
I've
going
asked Jeff
into
to
that?
look at that to make sure that it's not too narrow for a wheelchair to pass.
It kind of looked a little narrow, road
Yeah.
of trees.
There may be one area where it's a little narrow by the tree.
We don't want to have any problems with that area.
We're aware of that, and we'll take a look at that.
All right, thank you.
There is one area that looks
A little tight.
a little tight.
Yeah.
Any other new business? Any other new business? Being none, we'll close new business. That brings us to communication from department heads. Nothing at this time? Having nothing, that brings us to communications from city manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll be brief tonight since the sun is still shining and I haven't had any dinner. I won't be long-winded and give a long-winded speech about Michigan's broken municipal finance system. I'll just reintroduce to you a fine young man who was my intern last year, and once again, we've got him working part-time in our office. Well, he also works part-time managing the Hazel Park Community Coalition. Jared Gajos, would you stand up, please? And Jared just graduated from Michigan State, James Madison College, and Jared did a great job for us last summer. We're glad to have him back. He will be helping out Linda Yono, who is swamped doing stuff. So,
Zone commercial.
what's that?
Promise Zone commercial.
He is yes, thank you. Jared is one of the Promise Zone students because of the local college access network and Kayla Roney helping him get into Michigan State. He was able to go there and do a great job and win many accolades, and the city of Hazel Park is very proud of him. The school system should be very proud of him, and I'm glad that we're keeping him in the community for a little while, working for the coalition and working for me. And, hopefully he'll stick around, maybe go to grad school and make this kind of a semi-permanent arrangement for a few years. So we're very happy to get him back, and he did a great job last year. And this year I plan to spend more time with him, teaching him things and things like that. But he's a quick study, and he has common sense. So that's a good thing.
He did interview well.
He did interview well for that
Compared to the
community
other
coalition.
applicants, he did.
Yes.
He did quite well.
Outstanding
Just thought I'd give you a
young
few
man.
Kudos there. I mean, that was actually a good interview.
Yep.
And I put you through the ringer. Sorry.
He was ready.
Oh, you're ready.
Okay, is that it, Mr. City Manager?
I had a chance to go to Mackinac to the policy conference up there, and I was glad to see that the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce is actually realizing now that Michigan's system of municipal finance is so bad that they had to actually address it at the conference. And maybe next year that will become one of the pillars of success that they will look at, that they feel are prerequisites for Michigan being competitive. I want to thank the Mott Foundation for sponsoring that. It was a good conference, and again, I was lucky that my quotes about the system went out to all of the conference participants. So that was a cool thing. I hope that someone there, those folks who are the movers and shakers of industry in Michigan, some very rich folks there, actually read that and realize this is a system. And you know what? If cities die and can't provide good services, no one's going to live in Michigan, and their businesses are eventually going to fail. So the system is sick, and they need to fix it. Beyond that, it's warm. Watch out for bicyclists. Have a safe night.
Very good. Communications from city attorney.
I defer to Jan. I have nothing.
Thanks. I just wanted to let you know that our code enforcement is doing a spectacular job. If you know it or not, we have a lot of homes that are owned by people who live out of this country. They live in Japan, they live in Germany, they live everywhere. And we have to find them, we have to track them down, and we have to be able to serve them. This is not an easy job. Just to send a notice, it may go, you may have to send it certified mail to Germany. And then if they don't speak English, if they don't have a property manager, then you have property managers who come and they say, oh, no, I'm not working for them anymore. You get stopped at every corner. But we have been able to get a lot of things accomplished. Again, I want to remind everybody, DeQuinta Road, the paving that's going to be going on the parking lots, let them know how much we appreciate it. And
They're doing it. Several lots have already been done.
Well, that's Pam's job out there. She's spearheaded this, and she's done a great job. She also cleaned up a 10-mile road. When? How long ago was that? Last year. So we're getting there. It's not easy, but it's never, ever quick. And it's hard to tell the residents. I'm sorry, due process is never quick.
And I couldn't read my own writing. I was going to bring this up, so thank you for jogging my memory on it, because folks come up here and they see derelict homes in their neighborhoods, and they're like, well, nothing's been done. I called last week, and it's still like that. Well, a normal person gets the notice and cleans it up. We are not dealing with normal situations here. We are dealing with sometimes out-of-country owners. There are legal requirements that we have to follow, and some people will zealously fight for their non-existent right to be pigs. So we have to take them to court and get an order, and sometimes they even have to go to jail. So again, sometimes it can be a long process. Just because the problem didn't get corrected in a week doesn't mean that we're not on it and we're not trying. Some things are very easy to correct. Other things, when you're talking about the demolition of an entire house, that's a much longer process, especially when you're dealing with an attorney that knows how to hide.
Well, my greatest story is told by Pam's husband. And she first started here in code enforcement, and she was asking her coworkers if she could go up to the next house and talk to the person with regard to the weeds, junk, debris, an unregistered car that was in there. And she went up and she started talking to him. And Pam, I think you need to really tell this one. This is a great story. He tells, no, you know it better. He tells it all the time. Yeah, it'll only take a second, but you're going to appreciate this one. This is actually, you get a lot of this in Hazel Park.
So after we had hit several homes in a street, sorry, I asked if I could do the next one, and I went up, and 45, 50-year-old man came out, and I said, what's going on? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, you need grass, weeds cut. Whose car is this? Well, it's my mother's car. Why is it parked on the sidewalk? Well, that's where I park it. No. I said, all these things are against code. You need to get your lawn mowed. You need to do this. You need to pick up the garbage. You need to put lids on those cans. And I went on for a couple of minutes. Afterwards, he said, yes, ma'am. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I can either walk back to the car and get my ticket book, and I'll write tickets right now, or you can get started. And he huffed and puffed, and then he said, okay, fine. So we walked away as he started cleaning. And my coworker said, you just talked to him like he was a 10-year-old. I said, he lives with his mother, and he's not cutting the grass, and he's not picking up his stuff. He is a 10-year-old.
And there you have it.
You get a lot of those. But we do have code officers who have the personality to actually deal with these and have them say, okay, I'm sorry, and do it.
Better to have some people comply than not.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? All right, that brings us to communications from mayor and council. Councilmember Selman.
Thank you, Mayor Keaton. First, I want to say bienvenue, Gerard. He happens to be bilingual in French. I'm really glad to see him back with us. Since we had our last meeting, our city employees have just done some marvelous work around town in all of the departments. I see the fire department and the ambulance going all over. The police department has just done some responses to just all kinds of situations. And our DPW department has done all kinds of things to make the town better. We're in good hands. You folks are, all of our city employees are like Allstate used to be. Allstate is too expensive today, but you folks are just great. I'm not going to drone on this evening. I'm just going to say that if you love somebody, please tell them so. And by gosh, if you have children, hug them every day and tell them you love them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Holland.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I think I've got a reputation as being pretty tough on the absentee landlords in some of these show cause hearings, and this was a tough one tonight. I truly feel for the woman, and I hope that when the demolition is done, that she can work with the city and possibly find a way to construct on that, and there's vacant lots either side, and spend that $45,000 and have a home worth something, because that one was just truly awful, and I feel bad. I also feel bad for my neighbors on West Hayes. Jan did mention that some of the serving is a difficult process with even just giving proper service to some of these property owners, and I think the one by Chris is, the guy might be deceased, which is going to be really challenging. But getting the cars towed out of there will be a good step. And he's one that's a young family we want to keep in the community, and cleaning up the eyesores that the property owner is allowed to rot for over a decade. They got to go. I don't know if there's any solutions to proper service or how we can track owners down. There's just this loophole with the tax auction that continues to bite us, and potential investors that want to do the right thing, and then the ones that want to do the wrong thing are able to take advantage of it. And it's very frustrating to see continue happening. On a lighter note, I would like to thank everyone who came out Memorial Weekend and helped make the celebration very successful. DPW, Tom and John, I believe, were there constantly on the grounds, and Michael from the rec center made everything flow smoothly and happen, and kept the place clean, and our auxiliary and regular police and everyone else who was there who helped keep the event safe and well run had a good time. And I thank everyone for coming out. And last but absolutely not least, the 75th anniversary publication of the City of Hazel Park is still being delivered to every address and business address in Hazel Park. If you've not received a copy, contact the Historical Commission. This is going to tie nicely into the code enforcement issue. Commissioner Gladue and I went around our neighborhood looking for copies left on vacant or abandoned homes, and we were only able to find a few. The neighborhood has turned around in just the last 3 or 4 years, where we're seeing an investment where landlord or own properties that maybe sat vacant or weren't being maintained or run properly. They become owner occupied, and they've also really upped their game on the tenants they're attracting. They're part of the community, and they make an effort to be part of the community. So it was really pleasantly surprising to not find a bunch of these sitting on porches, and talking with some of the folks out there who also had nice things to say. So again, thank you all for coming out, and thank my commissioners, Rich Robbins, Charles Gladue, Chris Garapi, Lee McLaughlin, and Jennifer Burton-Jackson for all of their hard work, and the staff at Ferndale Friends for making this publication happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember LaCuro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the Memorial Day weekend, it was really a pleasure to talk to people, visit with people over at the refreshment tent. It's always an experience getting your ear tugged on by some of the residents. But it was really nice to be over there. And we have the Memorial Day festivity because unlike many, many cities who have cut their programs like this, we are able to turn a little bit of a profit. And again, we did that this year as well. So thanks for all of the participants in that. I also want to say congratulations to all the graduates of Hazel Park High School, 2017. And hope to see the fireworks at the racetrack are June 30th. And rain date is July 1st. Hope to come out there. They're some of the best showing of fireworks I've seen around. And as to Sharita, she finally, did see, I was wanting to help her to fix a home, but that was just the worst. It made no sense to put 45,000, if not 60. It made no sense. So we like to help homeowners out when it makes sense, property owners, but this one did not make any sense. So thanks for coming out. Have a great night. Watch out for the bicyclists, and enjoy the summer.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. It's been a pleasure hearing everybody give their comments, and even the poor lady up here that was trying to save her home. But unfortunately, she's come to the realization that it was better to be torn down than throw good money after bad. But to go back to the other couple other statements that are made, community has been a big part of this city. The community means your neighbors, the neighbors you need to talk to, the people you see on the porch you may not see but once a year or twice. Those are the people you need to talk to. Community is why I stayed here. I moved here when I was 19 with my wife, and we raised our family here. We actually get together with friends and neighbors that we lived around 20 years ago just to get at least once a year. The Memorial Day Festival is like a big reunion of friends. And it's nice to have that feeling at least once a year. A lot of communities don't have that. Where I grew up as a young child in Detroit, you don't have that sense of community spirit. And staying here and feeling that community spirit for the last, 30 years I've been here, I still wanted to continue. And at every turn, there's always a point where some other wall gets put up where tearing down our community efforts. The schools have a big fight with trying to keep a community school district. At the state level, they keep wanting to disassociate the community school programs. It's nice to see them come back and actually fight for the kids, and that's what we all need to do as a community, is fight for our kids. So that's the future of Hazel Park. Thank you again for coming out.
Thank you. I'd just like to say, remind you, the art fair is coming in August 26th and 27th, so just put that on your calendars. Much more information will be coming out about that. I think you witnessed tonight our hard-fought battles with some of the things we have to deal with, and be compassionate at the same time. And I think it worked out very well.
She was very nice.
And I'd like to thank you all for coming out and participating in the democratic process. And that will do it for this evening, except
Mr. Mayor.
Administration, do we have executive session necessary?
We do not have executive session necessary. I don't need any guidance or direction from you on anything, but I do want to call you all, each one of you individually tomorrow, and I will update you on a potential pending litigation situation, as well as a minor personnel issue.
Mr. Mayor, one thing of note that I forgot to mention, I believe the Hazel Park High School baseball team won the
yes.
district tournament, and that should be noted.
For the record, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can we have the administration send the Hazel Park baseball team a certificate of appreciation from the city council?
We can do that.
Resolution, thank you.
We can do that, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Lost the word there.
Okay,
If we can, I remember we did this for the basketball team, maybe we'll have them at the next meeting, I don't know.
That would be
With their
nice.
vacation schedules and things like that, but and graduation and things like that, but those who are in town and want to show up, we can invite them.
Yeah, that would be just super.
very good. Thank you for that catch. No pun intended.
That was funny, Mr. Mayor.
Council, what is your pleasure?
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Motion to adjourn, supported with no dissension.
No
Stand
foul.
adjourned.